At the grocery store, standing at checkout, the total flashes on the screen, $147.83. You tap your card, grab your bags, walk out, and then it hits you. You forgot to scan your loyalty number. You could have saved $2.14. And for the entire drive home, unloading groceries, putting everything away, that tiny mistake keeps replaying in your head. You feel annoyed, maybe even a little stupid. But here's what's wild. Outside, in your driveway, is a car with a $680 monthly payment you're barely managing. It's parked in front of a house that stretches your budget so thin that one surprise expense would send you into full panic mode. And yet, it's the $2 that ruined your mood. That's not frugality. That's a cheap mindset, and it's quietly wrecking your financial life. This isn't another lecture about skipping coffee or cutting coupons. This is about the psychological trap that keeps people broke while convincing them they're being responsible. Because here's the truth nobody tells you. Being cheap is driven by fear. Building wealth is driven by strategy. Until you learn the difference, you'll keep working hard and going nowhere. Let me show you how cheap thinking backfires. Picture this. You're low on gas. You pass one station charging $3.89 a gallon. 15 minutes away, another station is advertising $3.79. You decide to make the drive, 10 cents per gallon. That's smart, right? Let's actually run the numbers. Your tank holds about 15 gallons. You saved $1.50. Nice. Except that extra 30-minute round trip burned roughly a gallon of gas. At $3.79, you just spent more than you saved. So you paid extra money to feel financially responsible. And that's before we talk about time. If your time is worth even $25 an hour, that half hour cost you another $12.50. So your smart decision turned $1.50 savings into nearly a $15 loss. And you felt good the entire time. That's the danger. Cheap thinking feels smart, even when it's costing you everything. Here's the real difference. A cheap mindset asks one question: how much does this cost right now? Every dollar spent feels like failure. Money leaving your account feels like danger. A wealthy mindset asks a completely different question: what's the return? Money isn't something to hoard, it's a tool to create outcomes. Take networking events. A cheap mindset sees a $50 ticket and thinks that's overpriced snacks and awkward conversations. No thanks. A strategic mindset thinks if one conversation leads to a job, a client, or a mentor, this could return tens of thousands. The value isn't the food, it's the access. And here's what makes that shift possible: security. When you have an emergency fund, even a few months of expenses, your brain stops operating in survival mode. You stop treating every purchase like a potential disaster. Fear disappears. Strategy takes over. And now, let's talk about coffee. Personal finance loves to obsess over it. Skip your latte, brew at home, retire rich. Sure, if you're spending $5 a day, that's about $1,800 a year. Helpful? Yes. Life-changing? Not even close. Meanwhile, the same person stressing over a coffee is driving a $47,000 SUV, paying massive insurance premiums, premium gas, and brutal depreciation. They'll argue for 10 minutes over generic cereal, then go home to a house that's $400 too expensive every single month. This is the cheap trap: sweating tiny decisions while ignoring massive financial leaks. You're scooping water out of a sinking boat with a spoon while ignoring the hole in the hull. And there's another hidden cost: mental exhaustion. Every time you stand in an aisle comparing price per ounce, every time you drive across town to save a few cents, every time you debate whether cheaper trash bags are good enough, you're burning decision-making energy. Your brain has limited bandwidth. By the time real opportunities show up, negotiating your salary, starting a side hustle, learning a valuable skill, you're mentally tapped out. Here's a rule that changes everything. If a purchase is under $20 and you have savings, buy what you want and move on. Save your brain power for $20,000 decisions: cars, careers, houses, investments. That's where wealth is built or destroyed. Why cheap thinking feels safe? It comes from scarcity.
the belief that there will never be enough, not enough money, not enough opportunity, not enough time. So every dollar spent feels permanent, gone forever. Maybe you grew up watching money cause stress. Maybe you entered adulthood during a recession. That fear once protected you, but now it's holding you hostage. You avoid spending $1,000 on a skill that could raise your income by $15,000 because what if something goes wrong? Meanwhile, someone else sees that $1,000 as seed money. They plant it, it grows. One mindset guarantees stagnation. The other allows progress. Language reveals everything. Cheap thinking says, I can't afford that. That's powerlessness. Strategic thinking says, I'm choosing not to spend on that because I'm prioritizing something else. Same outcome, completely different identity. Your brain listens to the story you tell it. If you constantly tell yourself you can't afford things, your subconscious works overtime to make that true. Change the language, change the identity, change the results. The most expensive form of being cheap, refusing to invest in yourself. Skipping a $500 course keeps someone stuck at $45,000 a year. Another person takes the course, learns the skill, and charges $80 an hour. 5 years later, the gap is enormous. Same with health. Skipping a $150 dentist visit turns into a $4,000 problem later. Cheap decisions don't eliminate costs, they delay and multiply them. The strategic question is always, what does it cost if I don't do this? Final shift. You cannot shrink your way to wealth. There's a limit to how much you can cut. There's no limit to how much you can earn. Every purchase is a trade. Money for time, money for skill, money for peace of mind. Ask 3 questions. Will this save me time? Will this increase my earning power? Will this prevent a bigger problem later? If yes, and you have the money, that's not spending. That's an investment. Stop defending pennies. Start playing offense. That's the difference between staying cheap and becoming wealthy.